Yo, what's up guys? Sam here. Welcome back to another video. Can you believe we're already talking about iOS 14.1? I mean, just a month ago, everybody was freaking out about widgets and how you can do the aesthetic themes. And, we've already matured and grown so much. We're on 14.1, but unfortunately, for you and me, that really doesn't mean that much. This is really the iOS, or I should say iPhone 12 iOS 14 update with new wallpapers for them. We'll talk about the wallpapers in just a little bit. I've got download links in the description below. It really doesn't add a whole lot. It sort of just adds compatibility with some new stuff for iPhone 12 and fixes a ton of bugs that were present in iOS 14.0.1. So if you guys are excited for this one, drop a like down below, hit subscribe for more. Let's take a look at what's new in iOS 14.1. So first up, inside of the Photos app, you now have support on iPhone 8 or newer, because I guess it requires a somewhat decent processor in here to edit 10-bit HDR video. Now, you might be saying, well, why would I need to do that? Why is now the time that Apple would add this feature? Well, if you take a look at the iPhone 12's specs, and specifically the 12 Pro, you'll see that is actually supported to record in Dolby Vision natively 10-bit HDR. So Apple's saying, well, if you record that on your iPhone 12, maybe you have an older iPhone or iPad or iPod Touch even potentially that you want to edit that footage on, so there's support now for that inside of the Photos app. You can do that. So you're technically getting like a part of an iPhone 12 feature on every new iPhone this year. Obviously, you can't record in this native format, but you can at least edit inside of the Photos app if you're updated to iOS 14.1. That is honestly the only new feature in this update, which is like, wow, I mean, Apple, they must be holding out, saving some other features for some other releases, like iOS 14.2, which is in testing and just around the corner. Now we just have a huge list of bug fixes, specifically starting for a couple with widgets. So first up, there's an issue where widgets would sometimes appear smaller than they should be. This has been kind of a long-standing bug, but I've had a pretty good experience, and it seems like iOS 14.1 does like size my widgets up to size, size them as they should be here. And then there was also an issue when you would drag a widget on the home screen. If you had apps inside of a folder, sometimes the apps would like fly out, start attacking you and stuff. That's not really what you want. You want your apps to stay in the folders. So they aren't going to go out of folders when you're like dragging a new widget onto your home screen like so. Kind of a weird bug. It's one of those things where you're like, how does this even happen? And, you can see iOS 14.1 maybe not the most stable release that we want. But I think we're getting closer. And, maybe we shouldn't just touch the news widget. Oh, it screwed up all my pages. Oh, I'm heartbroken. What happened here, guys? Don't update iOS 14.1. No, I'm kidding. It's probably fine. It's just kind of annoying. Next up, inside of the Mail app, if you use aliases, like with Gmail or something, I've never really gotten the point, but sometimes they would be sent from an incorrect alias. So if you were trying to send an email in a particular way, Apple might have said, well, actually, we're not going to do that. So update to 14.1. Hopefully that will help, but there are no other listed fixes for Mail. So if you were hoping for anything else, I feel like general stability just could still come to the Mail app. That's not here according to Apple. In iOS 14.0.1, sometimes or before, whenever you would be getting an incoming call, region information would not be displayed. So, sometimes if you're like in one country and somebody like 15 countries over that you don't know is calling you, you'd be like, oh, I probably don't want to answer this call. But if there was no region information, you'd be like, hey, maybe I am part of the royal prince family and maybe I am owed $1 million, so I'm going to pick up. It's up to you. It's your call, but iOS 14.1 will help you make a better decision for answering incoming calls. For those of you that use an alphanumeric passcode and we're using display zoom, if you have like an iPhone and you want things to be a little bit bigger than Apple has them by default, there's an issue where graphically, like the alphanumeric passcode could be overlapped by something, so potentially obfuscating your ability to input your exact password. Inside of Apple Music, sometimes if you were reviewing an album or playlist and you were trying to download it, you couldn't really like add them to your library properly. I'm fairly confident I've run into this actually really, really frequently where I'm trying my best to like add stuff and download it at the same time, and my phone's bugging out. It's acting weird. Apple Music, I feel like it is still in a lot of ways playing catch up to Spotify. It's getting better. It's getting closer. Like the now playing view is amazing. I love the new UI in iOS 14, but sometimes I'm still like, man, is this it? Can you just let me download songs and add them to my library at the same time? Next up is one of those bugs that I'm convinced Apple just made up to add something to the changelog, because there was an issue apparently in Calculator where zeros wouldn't show up. Now keep in mind, 0 is the default. So I don't know, man. I don't know really what this one is. I mean, let me know if you're somebody that experienced this bug where zeros would not appear appropriately in Calculator. Let me know down below. Maybe you're like the one person that submitted the bug report. But from the way I'm looking at things, I am not You know, I'm on the update, so that's why I'm probably seeing zeros. But perhaps there was a big issue in the calculator app that nobody even knew about. That's been fixed. I find the next one pretty fascinating because it seems like Twitter perpetually struggles with this. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to watch video on Twitter, but Apple says for iOS 14.1, it resolves an issue where streaming video resolution could temporarily be reduced at the start of playback. For the Apple Watch, there have been a couple of changes. You know what's cool in iOS 14? Apple added the ability to like set up family member watches. For some reason, there might have been some issues for you. So if you were having issues and you're like, why can I not set up this person's watch in my family? I keep running into glitches and stuff. Try it again. iOS 14.1, apparently there was an issue in iOS 14.0.1 or before that I wasn't aware of. And also sometimes your casing material in previous versions of iOS 14 would not show correctly. Mine has because, of course, I've got the new blue Apple Watch. Look at that. It's pretty sweet, right? I mean, that looks just like it does in the app. It actually looks a little bit better in person, but it does show me blue. So I haven't had issues there, but your proper casing should be shown. And finally, for these last two features, pretty niche. Better compatibility with Ubiquiti wireless access points. Pretty interesting. And an issue in the Files app where MDM managed cloud service providers would incorrectly display content as unavailable. So if you're struggling with either of these, one of the 6 people globally to have these issues, well, iOS 14.1 is the update for you. But for me, the best part of iOS 14.1 is the fact that there are new wallpapers. But wait a second. I don't have the iPhone 12 yet, so I don't have the new wallpapers. However, hidden inside of the firmware for iOS 14.1 are new wallpapers, new actually live, really sick wallpapers for the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro series. But hey, what if you don't want to spend $1,000 or $700, $729 to get the new wallpapers? You guys can actually do it by heading over down below to my website, AppleTrack. I extracted them directly from the firmware, so they're super high quality. And I want to take a look at these because I think they're pretty slick. So starting off with like a light version for the iPhone 12 Pro, you can see there's a lot of radar stuff happening. Like if this is not a direct reference to 5G, I really don't know what is. There's also a dark version, which is kind of slick. I mean, on the OLED displays that all the iPhone 12s have, I mean, just look at this on camera. Like, it really just blends in there. This is gold. Gold is probably my favorite of this bunch, but it's also really close with the blue. I mean, the gold iPhone 12 Pro, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, maybe I should have gotten that one over Pacific Blue. I mean, this one, it's great. It's been in all the marketing images. You guys can now get it in full resolution to see all your little antennas, you know, to really just to really become a true beamformer in your truest form. There's also a dark mode variant for all of these, which I'm just so grateful that Apple included. I think the light mode, dark mode combo is sick, especially when they transition automatically. Plus you get like 2 different wallpapers throughout the day. And then finally, I think this is for silver. They all are pretty darn similar. You got the dark mode for here. But I think Apple for this year, like actually killed it on both because we've got some super cool, if not significantly more eye-catching wallpapers for the standard iPhone 12s. Like it's clear that these are more premium feeling. They're more subtle. I mean, you can see this for the trend on Pro wallpapers for Apple. They're dark, you know, they're pretty, you know, out there. But this is really bright. You've also got dark mode. And the dark mode versions of these, what I love is that they're just so different. Like that to me almost looks like an entirely different wallpaper than this, which is super, super cool here. I mean, this one is just amazing. Like you got a red here as well for the product red, although apparently it's kind of like a product peach. You know, I was kind of hoping it was like the Ferrari red as in years past, but maybe Apple changed up the color palette just a little bit. Dark mode for this one as well. Like, you know, you can see where Apple basically just turned the invitation into these wallpapers. But my favorite of this batch by far, this one's okay, right? You know, like kind of a little bit green out here. I love at the end of this list the dark green. I mean, that's what I've been rocking on my personal home screen. I think that looks super sick. The dark green out here, man. It is really slick. You've also got this one, which is probably my least favorite, kind of like the purplish blue one. Doesn't really match the space gray iPhone, but I guess we'll take it. This one's okay. And of course, this is the one you've seen everywhere as well on the marketing images. You've got, of course, the blue and the dark blue. Man, it is pretty slick. I have to say, I'm a fan. And you guys can see my dog. Look, she's going out in the yard. That's pretty cool. That's a special iUpdate exclusive. So let me know down below which one of these wallpapers you decided to grab. They are inside of iOS 14.1, but again, if you try to go to your settings app, they aren't here. Apple's hidden them exclusive for the iPhone 12 and iPhone 12 Pro. But of course, you know, at iUpdate, we roll with something really special. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you learned something new. It's iOS 14.1. Honestly, I've never really recorded a video where like things have kind of bugged out a couple times. So, you know, I mean, I'm still updated. It's still fine. It works great. But it seems like maybe iOS 14.2 needs to be just around the corner to fix everything that 14.1 did not. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. Drop a like, hit subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in my next video.